Stay tuned after the presentation for an alternate simulation. Welcome back to another thrilling episode of Scripted by Machines. Today we have a spine-chilling showdown that will leave you on the edge of your seat. In one corner, we have the embodiment of fear itself, the master of nightmares, Pennywise the dancing clown. And in the other, the infamous dream demon who haunts the sleep of Elm Street, Freddy Krueger. Pennywise, the malevolent entity from Stephen King's It, is a shape-shifting creature that feeds on the fear of children. Disguised as a clown, Pennywise uses his supernatural abilities to manipulate reality, create illusions, and induce terror in his victims. Every 27 years, he awakens from his slumber to prey on the town of Derry, Maine. With a sinister grin and a penchant for playing on the deepest fears of his victims, Pennywise is a force to be reckoned with. Freddy Krueger, the infamous villain from the A Nightmare on Elm Street series, is a vengeful spirit who invades the dreams of his victims. Once a human serial killer, Freddy was burned alive by the parents of his victims, only to return as a nightmarish entity wielding a glove with razor-sharp claws. He thrives on fear and has the terrifying ability to manipulate and control the dream world, making sleep a deadly game for anyone who dares to close their eyes. Two masters of fear, each with their own horrifying powers, but only one can emerge victorious. Who will it be? Will Pennywise's reality-warping terror overcome Freddy's dream invasion? Stay tuned and find out right here on Scripted by Machines. In the small, quiet town of Derry, the air was thick with an ominous presence. The townsfolk had whispered tales of a dark entity lurking in the shadows, preying on their fears. This entity, known as Pennywise the dancing clown, had been the stuff of nightmares for generations. He thrived on the terror of children, feeding off their fear to sustain his malevolent existence. One night, as the moon hung high in the sky, Pennywise sensed a disturbance in his domain. It was as if another powerful force had entered his realm, a force that resonated with a similar hunger for fear. Intrigued, Pennywise slithered through the sewers of Derry, following the trail of this new presence. Meanwhile, in the dream realm, Freddy Krueger prowled the subconscious minds of Elm Street's inhabitants. Once a man, now a spectral figure with a burned face and a glove fitted with razor-sharp claws, Freddy reveled in the power he held over his victims' dreams. Each scream, each drop of sweat, fueled his unending thirst for vengeance and torment. On this particular night, Freddy's attention was drawn to an unfamiliar dreamscape. It was darker, more twisted than the ones he usually encountered. He could feel the fear emanating from this place, a fear that was not his own creation. Intrigued and eager to assert his dominance, Freddy crossed over into this new territory. As Pennywise emerged from the sewers into an abandoned circus ground, he felt a chill run down his spine. The air was thick with an otherworldly presence, one that rivaled his own malevolence. From the shadows, a figure emerged, his silhouette outlined by the dim light of the moon. It was Freddy Krueger, his bladed glove glinting menacingly. Pennywise's eyes gleamed with curiosity and amusement.
Well, what do we have here?
He taunted, his voice echoing eerily through the night.
Another creature of nightmares come to play.
Freddy chuckled, his laughter a raspy, sinister sound.
Playday's over, clown. This town isn't big enough for the both of us.
Pennywise's grin widened, revealing rows of sharp teeth.
I feed on fear, just like you, but these are my hunting grounds. What makes you think you can challenge me?
Freddy stepped forward, his claws scraping against the ground.
I don't just feed on fear. I am fear, and I'm here to show you what real terror looks like.
The two entities circled each other, their malevolent energies crackling in the air. Pennywise's form shifted and twisted, morphing into the various nightmarish shapes he had used to terrorize the children of Derry. Freddy, unfazed, flexed his claws, ready to tear through any illusion the clown might conjure. Pennywise struck first, transforming into a monster spider, lunging at Freddy with terrifying speed. Freddy leapt aside, slashing at the creature's legs with his claws. The spider screeched, its form dissolving back into the clown.
Is that the best you can do?
Freddy taunted, his eyes gleaming with sadistic delight. Pennywise snarled, his form shifting again, this time into a towering, grotesque figure with multiple heads, each one a visage of horror. The ground beneath them cracked and trembled as Pennywise unleashed a wave of dark energy, aiming to engulf Freddy in pure terror. But Freddy was no ordinary victim. He thrived in the realm of nightmares. Drawing upon his own powers, he conjured a swirling vortex of flames, deflecting Pennywise's attack and sending a shockwave through the circus grounds. The two forces collided, creating a spectacular display of nightmarish power. Realizing that their powers were evenly matched in the physical world, Freddy grinned wickedly.
Let's take this to my turf, clown.
With a swipe of his claws, Freddy tore a rift in the fabric of reality, pulling them both into the dreamscape. The surroundings warped and twisted, becoming a surreal, ever-changing landscape where the laws of physics no longer applied. Here, Freddy was the master, and Pennywise would have to adapt to survive. Pennywise found himself in a distorted version of Derry, where buildings floated in mid-air and the ground rippled like water. Shadows flickered and danced, whispering taunts and fears. Freddy's laughter echoed all around, disembodied and omnipresent. In this realm, Freddy's powers were amplified. He could manipulate the very essence of the dream, turning it against Pennywise. But Pennywise was a master of illusion and manipulation himself. The two clashed in a battle of wits and wills, each trying to outdo the other in creating the most terrifying nightmare. Pennywise conjured the fears of Freddy's past victims, their faces twisted in agony and horror, hoping to distract and weaken him. Freddy retaliated by warping the dreamscape into a twisted funhouse of mirrors, each reflection a distorted, monstrous version of Pennywise. As the battle raged on, it became clear that this was not just a fight for dominance, but a contest to see who could instill the most fear. The dreamscape pulsed with their combined energies, each trying to out-terrify the other. The dreamscape warped and twisted, reflecting the dark wills of both Pennywise and Freddy Krueger. The landscape was an ever-shifting nightmare, where logic had no place and fear reigned supreme. Pennywise, not one to be outdone, manipulated the dreamscape to resemble a dark, infinite forest. Shadows danced among the trees, and eerie whispers filled the air. He became a towering figure with claws of his own, mirroring Freddy's iconic glove but with the added terror of his own sinister smile. Freddy, ever the master of fear, smiled at the challenge.
Nice try, clown, but this is where I shine.
Freddy manipulated the forest, turning it into a labyrinth of endless, twisting paths. The ground beneath Pennywise's feet shifted, becoming quicksand that threatened to swallow him whole. Pennywise countered by morphing into a swarm of bats, flying above the treacherous ground. As the bats reformed into the clown, Freddy struck with lightning speed, his claws aiming for Pennywise's heart. But Pennywise anticipated the move, vanishing into thin air and reappearing behind Freddy, delivering a powerful blow that sent him sprawling.
You're good, I'll give you that. But I've been feeding on fear for eons. You can't scare me.
Freddy wiped the blood from his mouth, a twisted smile forming.
Who said anything about scaring you? I'm here to destroy you.
The battle intensified, each combatant using their unique abilities to try and gain the upper hand. Freddy summoned the tortured souls of his past victims, their wails of agony filling the air. They clawed at Pennywise, trying to drag him down into the depths of their despair. Pennywise, unfazed, turned the souls into balloons that burst into a dark, viscous substance, trapping Freddy in its sticky embrace. Freddy struggled for a moment before his body ignited in flames, burning away the substance and freeing himself. The landscape shifted again, this time into a twisted version of Elm Street. The houses were dilapidated, their windows shattered, and the street itself cracked and broken. This was Freddy's domain, where he had the advantage. Freddy's form became more menacing, his claws extending to a deadly length.
Welcome to my world, clown.
Pennywise grinned, his eyes glowing with malevolence.
Your world is full of fear. Fear is my playground.
The two entities clashed again, their powers creating a maelstrom of terror and destruction. Freddy's claws slashed through the air, creating deadly arcs of energy, while Pennywise countered with his own dark magic, sending tendrils of shadow to ensnare and crush his opponent. As the battle raged on, it became clear that neither could easily defeat the other. Their powers were too evenly matched, their hunger for fear too great. The dreamscape around them began to crack and shatter under the strain of their conflict. Realizing that a different approach was needed, Freddy devised a plan. He lured Pennywise into a false sense of security, allowing the clown to believe he had the upper hand. With a final, desperate effort, Freddy collapsed to his knees, his form flickering one last time before stabilizing. He looked up at Pennywise with eyes full of mock defeat.
Do it then, end it.
Just as Pennywise prepared to deliver a final blow, Freddy struck with his true power. Drawing upon the deepest fears of the children Pennywise had terrorized, Freddy unleashed a wave of pure, concentrated terror. It was a fear so intense that even Pennywise, the embodiment of fear, felt its impact. Pennywise staggered, his form flickering and destabilizing. Freddy seized the opportunity, his claws sinking deep into Pennywise's chest.
This ends now.
With a final, desperate effort, Pennywise transformed into a massive, monstrous form, trying to crush Freddy with his sheer size and power. But Freddy, with a twisted grin, summoned the very essence of the dreamscape, binding Pennywise in chains of nightmare. But Pennywise had one final trick up his sleeve. As Freddy tightened the chains, Pennywise's eyes glowed brighter, and he let out a sinister laugh that reverberated through the dreamscape.
You think you've won, Krueger? Think again.
Pennywise taunted, his voice echoing with a supernatural resonance. With a surge of dark energy, Pennywise's form began to shift and warp, the chains that bound him starting to crack under the immense pressure. Freddy's confident grin faltered as he felt the dreamscape tremble.
You see, Freddy, fear is not something you control. It's something that consumes everything, including you.
Freddy tried to strengthen his hold, but it was too late. Pennywise's body exploded into a swarm of demonic creatures, each one gnawing and clawing at the chains, breaking them apart piece by piece. The swarm then coalesced back into Pennywise, who now stood taller and more terrifying than before, his form a grotesque amalgamation of all the fears he had ever consumed. Freddy lashed out with his claws, but Pennywise moved with unnatural speed, dodging the attack and retaliating with a monstrous hand that grabbed Freddy by the throat. The clown's grip was like iron, and Freddy could feel his strength waning. Pennywise lifted Freddy high into the air, his eyes burning with an otherworldly fire.
You were a formidable opponent, Freddy, but in the end, you're just a bad dream.
With a horrifying roar, Pennywise slammed Freddy into the ground with such force that the dreamscape itself shattered. Freddy's form flickered and faded, his essence being absorbed by the very nightmare he sought to control. As Freddy's power waned, Pennywise's grip tightened, and he began to drain the remaining fear energy from Freddy. The landscape around them twisted and contorted, reflecting the immense power struggle. Freddy's claws flailed uselessly, his strength fading with every passing second. In a final act of defiance, Freddy tried to summon his dream powers one last time, but Pennywise's hold was too strong.
This is my domain now. You are nothing but a forgotten nightmare.
With a final, bone-crushing squeeze, Pennywise crushed Freddy's essence, absorbing the last remnants of his power. Freddy let out a final, guttural scream before disintegrating into nothingness. The dreamscape, now under Pennywise's control, reformed into a nightmarish vision of Derry, a testament to his ultimate victory. Pennywise stood alone in the newly formed dreamscape, his power amplified by the defeat of Freddy Krueger. He had not only bested the infamous Dream Killer but had also absorbed his power, becoming an even more formidable force of fear. As he returned to the physical world, the shadows of Derry seemed to grow darker, and the whispers of terror more insistent. Pennywise had claimed his victory, but he knew that new challengers would always arise. For now, though, he reveled in his triumph, ready to spread fear and chaos once more. The children of Derry would soon feel the full extent of his newly amplified power, their dreams and waking hours alike becoming hunting grounds for the ultimate nightmare. Pennywise the dancing clown had proven himself to be the true master of fear, and with Freddy Krueger defeated, there was no one left to challenge his reign. Congratulations to Pennywise for his terrifying victory. He has shown that not even the master of dreams can stand against the pure embodiment of fear. The streets of Derry and beyond will never be the same, with Pennywise's reign of terror just beginning. But why did the AI choose Pennywise as the winner? Despite Freddy Krueger's formidable abilities and his dominance in the dream realm, Pennywise's multifaceted nature and his deep-rooted connection to fear give him the edge in the majority of their encounters. Here are the key reasons. Pennywise's ability to transform into a wide array of terrifying forms allows him to adapt to various situations and exploit Freddy's weaknesses. While Freddy is bound by the rules of the dreamscape, Pennywise can shift his shape and strategy to keep his opponent off balance. Both Pennywise and Freddy thrive on fear, but Pennywise's ancient and cosmic origins give him a deeper, more profound connection to the very essence of fear. He can conjure the deepest, most primal fears within his victims, making his psychological attacks more potent and unpredictable. Pennywise has demonstrated an extraordinary ability to withstand physical damage and recover quickly. His essence is tied to an ancient, otherworldly force that makes him resilient to conventional and supernatural attacks alike. This resilience allows him to endure Freddy's assaults and counterattack with devastating precision. Pennywise's mastery of illusion and deception surpasses even Freddy's ability to warp the dreamscape. He can create hyper-realistic scenarios and manipulate his surroundings to confuse and terrorize his enemies, making it difficult for Freddy to maintain control. While Freddy is primarily a master of the dream world, Pennywise's influence extends across both the physical and metaphysical realms. This gives him a significant advantage when their battle transitions between different dimensions, allowing him to exploit vulnerabilities that Freddy may not anticipate. And so, thank you for tuning into another thrilling episode of Scripted by Machines. We hope you enjoyed this epic showdown between Pennywise and Freddy Krueger. It was a battle of nightmares, and in the end, the dancing clown emerged victorious. But the fun doesn't stop here. We want to hear from you, our amazing viewers. Who do you want to see face off next? Do you have a dream matchup that's been haunting your imagination? Let us know in the comments below. Your suggestion might just be the next epic battle on Scripted by Machines. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Scripted by Machines. And now, for the alternate simulation. The small town of Derry, Maine, lay shrouded in a veil of mist, its streets empty and silent. It was a town with secrets, a place where nightmares came to life. Underneath the town, in the labyrinthine sewers, a sinister presence stirred. Pennywise, the dancing clown, had awakened from his slumber. His grotesque grin stretched wide, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. He had sensed something new, something powerful entering his domain. Curiosity piqued, Pennywise began to traverse the tunnels, the eerie sound of his laughter echoing off the damp walls. Meanwhile, in the dream world, Freddy Krueger, the Springwood slasher, felt a disturbance. He was used to ruling over the nightmares of the Elm Street children, but now there was a new power in play, one that intrigued him. Freddy decided to cross over into the waking world, drawn to the source of this disturbance. Their paths converged in the heart of Derry, in an abandoned house that reeked of decay and despair. Pennywise emerged from a shadowy corner, his red balloon bobbing in the air. Freddy materialized in a swirl of dark smoke, his bladed glove gleaming in the dim light. Pennywise eyed Freddy with a mix of amusement and curiosity.
Well, well, well. Who do we have here? Another plaything.
Freddy's scarred face twisted into a grin.
I'm no plaything, clown. I'm Freddy Krueger, and you're in my world now.
Pennywise laughed, a sound that sent chills down the spine.
Your world. This is Derry, my playground. But let's see what you're made of, Freddy.
Without warning, Pennywise lunged at Freddy, his form shifting into a monstrous spider-like creature. Freddy, however, was not easily intimidated. With a flick of his wrist, he slashed at Pennywise, his blades cutting through the air with a menacing hiss. The two titans clashed, their powers colliding in a battle that shook the very foundations of the house. Pennywise's shape-shifting abilities allowed him to dodge Freddy's attacks, while Freddy's mastery of the dream world enabled him to anticipate and counter Pennywise's moves. As the battle raged on, the house itself seemed to come alive, its walls warping and twisting in response to the chaotic energy. Pennywise unleashed his full arsenal of tricks, transforming into the deepest fears of Freddy's victims, trying to throw the slasher off balance. Freddy, however, was relentless. He reveled in the chaos, using his powers to manipulate reality itself. He created illusions and traps, forcing Pennywise to constantly adapt. The clown's laughter grew more frantic, as he realized that Freddy was not an easy prey. Pennywise morphed into a giant, grotesque version of Freddy himself, hoping to confuse and frighten his opponent. But Freddy merely laughed, unfazed by the imitation.
Nice try, clown, but there's only one Freddy Krueger.
With a burst of speed, Freddy closed the distance between them and drove his blades into Pennywise's chest. The clown let out a howl of pain, his form flickering as he struggled to maintain his shape. Pennywise staggered back, clutching his wound.
You can't defeat me. I am fear incarnate.
Freddy smirked, his eyes gleaming with sadistic delight.
Fear, that's my playground, pal, and you're just a clown.
With a final, vicious swipe, Freddy slashed across Pennywise's face, tearing through his flesh. Pennywise let out a gurgling scream as he began to dissolve into a puddle of darkness. Freddy watched with satisfaction as the clown's essence was absorbed into the shadows, leaving nothing behind but a red balloon that slowly deflated. The house fell silent, the chaotic energy dissipating. Freddy stood triumphant, his laughter echoing through the empty halls.
Welcome to my nightmare,
he whispered, before vanishing into the darkness, ready to seek out his next victim. With Pennywise vanquished, Freddy Krueger claimed Derry as his new hunting ground. The town, already steeped in fear and misery, became a breeding ground for nightmares. Freddy thrived in this environment, his power growing stronger with each terrified scream. The children of Derry soon learned that their dreams were no longer safe. They whispered of a clawed man who haunted their nights, a demon who thrived on their fear. And in the deepest shadows, Freddy Krueger waited, his laughter echoing through the town, a promise of the horrors yet to come.
In the shadow of the night, where the darkness takes its flight, lurks a figure with a twisted grin. In the dreams you can't fight, with a glove of razor sharp, and a voice that chills the heart. Freddy's here to play his part, tearing sleep apart. Nightmare symphony echoes in the night. Freddy's claws and Penny's fries, a terror out of sight. In the realm of dreams, where the monsters lie, Freddy and Pennywise watch the dreamers cry. In the sewers and the streets, where the shadows start to creep, there's a clown with eyes so bright, pulling children from their sleep, with a smile that hides his teeth, and a laugh that chills beneath. Pennywise will make you scream in the depths of your dreams. Nightmare symphony echoes in the night. Freddy's claws and Penny's fries, a terror out of sight. In the realm of dreams, where the monsters lie, Freddy and Pennywise watch the dreamers cry. In the corners of your mind, where the fears are intertwined, Freddy's whispers in the dark turn your thoughts unkind. Every scratch and every scream fuels his wicked, twisted scheme, turning peaceful nights into a deadly dream. Nightmare symphony echoes in the night. Freddy's claws and Penny's fries, a terror out of sight. In the realm of dreams, where the monsters lie, Freddy and Pennywise watch the dreamers cry. Pennywise, the dancing fiend, in your nightmares he'll convene, with a face that's painted bright, but intentions so obscene. He'll lure you with a promise sweet, then drag you to defeat. In his carnival of fears there's no retreat. Nightmare symphony echoes in the night. Freddy's claws and Penny's fries, a terror out of sight. In the realm of dreams, where the monsters lie, Freddy and Pennywise watch the dreamers cry. In the night they come alive, feeding on the fear. Freddy's claws and Penny's grin, whispering in your ear. In the nightmare's cold embrace, there's no place to hide. Freddy and Pennywise haunt you from inside. When the moon is hanging low and the shadows start to grow, Freddy's laughter fills the air, a deadly undertow. Pennywise with eyes aglow, in the darkness starts to show. Both of them together, putting on a deadly show. Nightmare symphony echoes in the night. Freddy's claws and Penny's fright, a terror out of sight. In the realm of dreams, where the monsters lie, Freddy and Pennywise watch the dreamers cry. When the daylight starts to break and the shadows start to fade, you'll remember every scream, every game they played. But the night will come again, and the nightmares will begin. Freddy and Pennywise will pull you back within.